La'son Brito and La'son Brito were the young sons of Latarsha Sanders and Edson Brito. They were born and raised in Brockton, Massachusetts. Marlon was born March 19, 2009, and was 8 years old. La'son was born on August 16, 2012, and was 5 years old. Marlon was a kind and sweet boy, known for his gentle nature and bright spirit. As the older brother to La'son, Marlon often looked out for his younger sibling. Teachers and classmates fondly remembered Marlon for his friendliness and warm demeanor. He had a particular love for gymnastics, spending hours practicing and enjoying the sport. His favorite color was pink, a choice that reflected his cheerful personality. Marlon and La'son lived with their mother, Latarsha, and their father, Edson, on the third floor of a multi-family home in Brockton, Massachusetts. On multiple occasions, the police were called to their residence due to reports of domestic disturbances. Edson was arrested more than once following these incidents. Despite the severity of some of these confrontations, Latarsha ultimately decided to drop all charges against Edson each time, opting not to pursue legal action. The repeated conflicts and subsequent police involvement contributed to a fraught atmosphere at home, impacting both Latarsha and Edson, as well as their two young sons, Marlon and La'son. The boys were often caught in the crossfire of their parents' volatile relationship, experiencing the instability and stress that came with it. In January 2017, Edson was involved in a significant legal incident that further strained his already volatile relationship with Latarsha. Edson was caught at a gas station approximately 1 mile from their home in Brockton, attempting to sell crack cocaine. When approached by law enforcement, Edson tried to swallow the drugs to avoid detection, but failed in this attempt. Following this incident, Edson was arrested and charged with possession with intent to distribute and disturbing the peace. The charges were serious, reflecting his involvement in drug-related activities and the disruptive nature of the incident. As a result of these charges, Edson was sentenced to jail for 1 year. This period of incarceration added another layer of instability to the family dynamic, leaving Tarsha to care for Marlon and La'son on her own. The absence of their father during this time had a profound impact on the family, contributing to the ongoing challenges they faced. The legal troubles and subsequent imprisonment highlighted the difficulties and turbulent nature of Edson and Latarsha's relationship, further complicating their already strained family life. Latarsha's older son, who had been living with her, began experiencing increasing tensions in their relationship during their time leading up to the tragic events. As their conflicts grew more intense, he started spending more nights at his girlfriend's house to avoid the escalating arguments and stressful environment at home. This shift in living arrangements led to further strain in their already volatile relationship. Latarsha's older son, who had previously contributed to the household by paying rent, stopped making these payments as he spent more time away from home. This financial strain added another layer of stress to their situation, increasing existing tension between them. In January 2018, the situation reached a breaking point. Latarsha, already overwhelmed by the ongoing conflicts and financial difficulties, made the decision to kick her older son out of the home. This left her alone in her third-floor apartment with her two young sons, Marlon and La'son. The absence of her older son marked a significant change in the household dynamic. With only Marlon and La'son remaining, the home became a more isolated environment. This period was marked by increasing stress and instability, setting the stage for the tragic events that would soon unfold. Latarsha was once described by her father and brother as a loving and devoted mother to her children, Marlon and La'son. They recall how she cared deeply for her sons, ensuring they were happy and well taken care of. However, over time, things began to spiral out of control, leading to the tragic events that would later unfold. According to Latarsha's mother, Arlene, the turning point came when Latarsha started watching videos online about the Illuminati. What began as a casual interest quickly turned into an obsession. Over the course of 2 years, Latarsha became increasingly engrossed in YouTube videos about the Illuminati, New Age beliefs, the occult, and numerology. This descent into the darker aspects of these topics pulled her further into a troubling, alternate reality. As her obsession grew, Latarsha's behavior became more erratic and paranoid. She began to believe that the Illuminati was targeting her and that performing rituals and sacrifices could grant her supernatural powers. Her delusions led her to spy on her neighbors using a baby monitor, convinced that they were a part of the conspiracy against her. This behavior alarmed her neighbors, who described her as acting irrationally and seemed increasingly detached from reality. Latarsha's descent into paranoia and delusion not only strained her relationships with her family, but also created a fearful and unstable environment at home. Her once nurturing and caring demeanor was overshadowed by her belief in sinister conspiracies and the necessity of ritualistic practices. Latarsha's family had long been concerned about her mental health. Noticing her erratic behavior and increasing instability, they suggested multiple times that she seek professional mental health treatment, but Latarsha consistently refused to do so. Her reluctance to get help contributed to the ongoing tensions within the family. The father of Latarsha's teenage son reported that she had significant anger issues and a violent temper. He recounted several incidents illustrating her volatile behavior, including a particularly troubling episode that happened 18 years prior. During this incident, Latarsha slapped him so hard that his head had spun. Following this incident, she went outside in a fit of rage and smashed all the windows of her then partner's car. showcasing the extent of her uncontrolled anger. As her mental state deteriorated, Latarsha became increasingly obsessed with her spiritual beliefs, which began to manifest in more extreme ways. She lashed out at her family, accusing them of being controlled by the devil. Latarsha believed that her family members were asleep and unable to see the truth that she claimed to perceive. This delusional thinking further isolated her from those around her as her family struggled to understand and manage her outbursts and growing paranoia. On Saturday, February 3rd, 2018, just 2 days before the tragic event, Latarsha Sanders visited her mother, Arlene, along with her 2 sons, Marlon and La'son. During this visit, Latarsha spoke disturbingly about rituals and sacrifice, topics that increasingly occupied her thoughts. She mentioned to Arlene her belief in the need to sacrifice a person as a means to move up in the world. Latarsha's conversation grew even more alarming as she experienced lingering anger towards her teenage son, stating that she wanted to kill him and store his body in her freezer. She also revealed a dark and disturbing desire to obtain a human heart, believing that such a sacrifice could save her ailing father. Throughout the conversation, Latarsha's words reflected a deepening obsession with ritualistic beliefs and a disturbing detachment from reality. Arlene, deeply concerned by her daughter's statements, described Latarsha as acting crazy. She noted that Latarsha had been exhibiting increasingly erratic behavior for about 2 years, marked by these bizarre and unsettling ideas. Despite recognizing the severity of Latarsha's mental state, Arlene's concerns were not enough to prevent the subsequent tragic events to come. On the Monday following the Saturday visit to Arlene's home, Latarsha would return to visit her mother, but this time without her sons. Arlene immediately noticed that Latarsha seemed extremely disoriented, describing her as being like a zombie. Latarsha's behavior was erratic. She began yelling at Arlene, accusing her of killing Latarsha's father, an accusation that was both alarming and baseless. When Arlene inquired about the whereabouts of Marlon and La'son, Latarsha refused to answer, which further raised Arlene's concerns. After this unsettling visit, Latarsha returned to her home at 247 Prospect Street about an hour later. Around noon that same day, the police received a phone call from Latarsha's residence. She had asked a neighbor to call the police, claiming she was having a medical emergency. When the paramedics arrived, they initially found Latarsha outside and thought that she might be experiencing a seizure. However, upon receiving her medical history and observing her behavior, they realized that she was actually undergoing a psychiatric episode. Recognizing the severity of her condition, the paramedics transported Latarsha to the Good Samaritan Medical Center for evaluation. Neighbors of Latarsha and Edson informed the police that Marlon, 8 years old, and La'son, 5 years old, lived in the apartment and expressed concerns that the boys might have been left home alone, while their mother had gone to the hospital to receive treatment, leaving the children unattended. Alarmed by the possibility of the boys being in danger, the neighbors urged the police to check on them. When the police arrived at the multi-family home, they went upstairs to the 3rd floor apartment. Upon entering, they discovered a tragic and unsettling scene. Marlon and La'son were found dead, their small bodies neatly wrapped in clean white sheets. The careful wrapping indicated a disturbing level of premeditation in the aftermath of the killings. The officers pronounced both boys dead at the scene. As they conducted their investigation, they found a kitchen knife on the sink, which appeared to have been recently cleaned. The discovery of the knife, coupled with the condition of the boys, suggested that it had been used in the brutal act and then wiped clean in an attempt to remove evidence. When the police took Latarsha to the police station for initial questioning, they quickly noticed her erratic behavior. She was often mumbling to herself, repeating non-cynical phrases, and at times appeared to be falling asleep. Her demeanor raised immediate concerns about her mental state. During the initial questioning, Latarsha initially tried to blame the murders on her daughter, Tamia, claiming that Tamia had wanted a little blood. She also attempted to blame Edson, despite him being in the county jail at that time, awaiting a hearing on an unrelated drug charge. The police knew this story couldn't be true, given Edson's incarceration. As the questioning continued, Latarsha denied any involvement in the killings of her sons. However, forensic analysis quickly contradicted her denial when the police swabbed her hands and found traces of human blood. Confronted with this evidence, Latarsha shifted her story again, this time attributing the deaths to what she described as voodoo stuff. She claimed the killings were a part of a ritualistic practice, adding another layer of complexity to the investigation. Latarsha's inconsistent and bizarre explanations, coupled with her apparent detachment from reality, painted a troubling picture for the investigators. Her shifting blame and erratic behavior underscored the severity of her mental health issues, complicating the case and highlighting the tragic circumstances surrounding the deaths of her 2 young sons. During her initial questioning, Latarsha eventually disclosed to officers that she had been conducting a ritual. She insisted that no one was supposed to get hurt, but as the officers pressed her for more details, her story began to unravel. Latarsha admitted to the officers that she had killed one of her sons, Marlon. She described how she used a kitchen knife to stab Marlon in his legs and chest. According to her, something went wrong with the ritual, resulting in Marlon's death. Initially, she claimed that this was not her intention and that the ritual was meant to be harmless. As the questioning continued, Latarsha revealed more about the tragic events. She confessed that after Marlon's death, she decided to perform the ritual again with her younger son, La'son. Believing she had to complete the ritual correctly, she stabbed La'son multiple times. Latarsha explained that she felt compelled to try the ritual again after it had failed with Marlon. She went on to tell the police that when the ritual failed with both boys, that she felt bad about what had happened. After killing her sons, she tried to clean up the scene. She mopped the blood off of the floor and cleaned the blood from Marlon and La'son's bodies. She then wrapped each boy in the sheets and placed them into their beds. Despite claiming that she felt bad about what had happened, Latarsha took no steps to call for help or provide any medical attention to her sons. She washed the kitchen knife she had used in the attacks and left it in the sink to dry. During the entire period after the murders, Latarsha did not seek assistance or alert anyone to the tragic events that transpired in her home. When first responders arrived at the apartment, they discovered the bodies of Marlon and La'son. By that time, the boys had been dead for an extended period of time, possibly as long as 48 hours. Latarsha was arrested and charged with homicide following her confession to the murders of her 2 sons. Later that day, family members, including Edson, expressed shock and disbelief, stating that they had never heard her speak about voodoo before the murders. However, they all noted that Latarsha had become increasingly interested in conspiracy theories and topics related to human sacrifice in the months leading up to the tragic events. The next day, Latarsha was arraigned on 2 counts of homicide and held without bail. During the arraignment, prosecutors presented initial findings and disturbing details about the case. They revealed that Marlon's body was undergoing an autopsy, and preliminary results indicated that he had been stabbed 50 times. This brutal detail highlighted the severity of the crime and reinforced the charges against Latarsha. While Marlon's autopsy was being conducted, authorities believed that La'son had suffered fewer injuries, but his autopsy had not yet been completed. 4 years later, Latarsha's trial began in December 2022 and lasted for 9 days. During the trial, prosecutors introduced one of Latarsha's journals as evidence. The journal contained disturbing entries where she wrote about gaining fame and earning money from what she considered to be a good story. She detailed plans to set up a GoFundMe account to raise money, indicating that the funds would go to the family member with the best story. Additionally, Latarsha expected to receive fan mail and had set up a P.O. box at the post office for this purpose. After her arrest, Latarsha questioned Shalia and other family members about why they hadn't talked to the media about the murders, encouraging them to do interviews. It seemed that she viewed the tragic deaths of Marlon and La'son as an opportunity for notoriety, underscoring her detached and disturbed perspective on these events. The trial also featured the final autopsy results presented by the medical examiner. Contrary to initial estimates, the extent of the boys' injuries were far worse. Marlon, who was only 8 years old, had been stabbed 76 times in his neck, chest, and stomach, He had also another 20 to 30 superficial cuts and scratches on his skin. La'son, who was only 5 years old, was stabbed 23 times in the back, the chest, and the stomach. He had 80 additional superficial wounds all over his body, and a taper candle shoved deep inside his throat. The medical examiner's testimony suggested that, based on the number and the location of the wounds, the boys would likely have been able to look into their mother's eyes while she stabbed them, adding a deeply personal and horrifying element to the murders. During the trial, the courtroom was filled with screams and cries as the tragic details of the crime was revealed. The emotional toll on those present was an overwhelming one. On December 27th, Latarsha Sanders was found guilty on 2 counts of murder, 1 count of first-degree homicide, and 1 count of witness tampering. The following day, she was sentenced to 2 life sentences without the possibility of parole, plus an additional 9 to 10 years for witness tampering. Latarsha was sent to the Sal Borensky Correctional Center in Lancaster, Massachusetts, to serve her time. During the sentencing, Judge Honorable William Sullivan addressed the court with solemn words. He remarked that the sentence extended beyond just Latarsha, stating it was a life sentence for the rest of the family as well. He emphasized the irreversible nature of the tragedy, saying, "2 little boys are gone forever, and nothing we can do here today is going to change that." The sentence elicited mixed reactions among the family members. Some felt that the punishment was too harsh, struggling to reconcile their feelings amidst the grief and trauma. They considered the facts that she, Latarsha, was totally insane when the crimes were committed. However, Edson Brito, the boy's father, was very much in favor of the sentence, believing it was befitting for the heinous crimes committed against his sons. A few days after Latarsha was sent to the correctional center, a vigil was held for Marlon and La'son on February the 8th. Family, friends, and community members gathered outside the home on Prospect Street to honor the memory of the two young boys. The scene was marked by a display of balloons, stuffed animals, and toys hung near the front door. Candles were lit and prayers were said in a collective expression of grief. Bishop Orland Harris led the vigil, urging everyone present to be vigilant about mental health and to seek help if they or their loved ones exhibited strange behaviors. He implored, "My charge to you is to do me a favor. If you ever see or hear about strange behaviors going on with me or my family, call someone, check on me, don't ignore it." During the vigil, Latarsha's adult daughter, Shalia, spoke out about her profound disorientation and grief. She expressed her struggle to reconcile the image of her mother with the woman who committed such horrific acts. Shalia said, "This lady in this picture is not my mother. I don't know who this lady in this picture is." She also shared her difficulty in coming to terms with the loss of her baby brothers, adding, "I'm still thinking they're upstairs, waiting for me to come bring my dog upstairs. It's not real to me right now." The loss of Marlon and La'son devastated the community, impacting many of the young students who attended Angelo Elementary School with the boys. The children, most of them 8 years old or younger, struggled with difficult questions about why someone would hurt their friend and why a mother would kill her children. Counselors were brought in to support the students, and staff and parents offered comfort and reassurance, but they couldn't fully explain the incomprehensible tragedy. A celebration of life was held for Marlon and La'son on February 17th, 2018 at the Edith Stein Parish Church in Brockton. During the service, their father, Edson Brito, expressed his profound sorrow, saying, "This is so hard. I wish this on no human being." The brothers were laid to rest beneath a single headstone at Melrose Cemetery. In May 2018, Angelo Elementary School had a remembrance concert for Marlon and La'son. Their classmates sang songs like "We're All in This Together" and rise up and the world is ours. Wearing remembrance t-shirts to honor the boys, the school community raised money for a buddy bench, also known as a friendship bench, which was installed later that year. This bench serves as a place where children can sit when they are looking for a friend or someone to talk to, honoring the memory of Marlon and La'son. The school held a poetry contest, and fifth grader Ellen Jang won the prize for her poem, which she read at the event. Her poem expressed a simple and innocent sentiment, reading, "Our joined hands move mountains, always together in our hearts. Nothing could ever tear us apart." The events and commemorations reflected the deep sense of loss felt by the community and the efforts to create a lasting tribute to the boys' memory. They also underscored the importance of coming together to support one another in times of unimaginable grief. May the boys always be remembered for the bright light that they shined on all of those who they loved and who loved them back. Rest in peace.